Hey YouTube, this is Tom at TM Aquatics, and I hope everyone's doing great. I haven't been very active on the YouTube platform in the past few months. I've just been terribly busy with work, been selling a lot of fish, and just working on a lot of different projects here, kind of rethinking what I want to do here at TM Aquatics, how I want to best utilize the tank space, what type of species or fish I want to be focusing on for next year, and I've made a lot of decisions. Now, I do want to put out a full fish room tour, but I have some new fish arriving tomorrow. I'm going to be rescaping one or two tanks tomorrow. I have 60 caves coming from Pleco Ceramics. I have another 20 caves coming from plecocaves.com. So total I have 80 new Pleco caves coming, if that gives you any indication or hint on what I'm doing here. But I have also picked up, some new fish like I mentioned. I'm thinking about swapping out some tanks. Got a whole lot of stuff on my mind here. Not going to cover it all today. I do promise to put out a full fish room tour maybe later this week or early next week, talking in more detail about a lot of the changes, some of the new fish, the new tanks, all of that stuff. Today's video, I'm just going to show you a couple things happening here in the fish room. I also want to do a size check on the Ancestris species that I picked up over the past few months. The Ancestris Wobbin Musters, the L181s, and I did find some L183s. They came in really teeny tiny, but I think they're putting on a little bit of size now. So I want to do size checks on those three species. Anyways, I do hope you stick around and check this one out. Alright YouTube, we're starting out here in the rec room. I'm not going to go through each and every tank like I mentioned. This is not going to be a full fish room tour. I do plan to put out a new fish room tour maybe later this week or early next week. And that'll be a full comprehensive tour of all the tanks, all the species, some fish yet to be sourced, etc., and what the plans are for the entire fish room moving forward. I do want to point out some things though. I have gone around the fish room and I'm trying to identify the future of each tank, and I put little post-it notes on it. So 181, that stands for L181. Currently I'm thinking or considering about moving the L181 into this tank, and I'll be showing you some of these little yellow stickers here throughout today's video, so you have a good idea of maybe what some of the future species are that I'm going to be picking up and adding, and what tanks they're going to be going into, and all of that kind of jazz. So anyways, this is the 75 out in the rec room. Was actually considering about tearing this tank down, but as it turns out, I'm picking up so many new species of Plecos, that's right, just Plecos, that I'm going to keep this tank in circulation and keep it going. So anyways, we'll be moving one of the Ancestris species out. I'm not sure if it'll be the 181s, the 183s, or the Wobbin Musters, or something else, but we will keep this tank up and going, and it's definitely in need, serious need of a new hardscape. So anyways, that's what's going on with this tank, and let's go check out one other fish that's out here in the rec room. Alright, this is my 120 gallon L134 leopard frog Pleco tank. I have about 30 L134s in here, but those are not the fish that I want to highlight. I want to highlight these albino threadfin acaras. And on one of Dan's fish, one of his recent live streams, he did give me a shout out, so thank you, Dan. And in return, I'm going to show everybody just a quick update and progress on these albino threadfin acaras, because they are just absolutely stunning, stunning fish. You can just see that those trailers, the red on the end of those trailers on that fish's fin. Oh my gosh, they are just absolutely beautiful. I think I got lucky and either ended up with 3 males and 3 females, or it's 4 males and 2 females, but I certainly can tell there's both sexes in here. And even though my focus here at TM Aquatics is breeding Corydoras and Plecos, and we're going to have less of a focus on Corydoras moving forward and more of a focus on Plecos, These are a fish that if I was fortunate enough to get a pair to break off and spawn, I would definitely put every effort into growing some out. But they are just absolutely stunning fish, and I think Dan has already sold out of the new threadfin Acaras he brought in. But if you ever get a chance to pick some of these up, I highly recommend it. They do get larger, so you definitely want to have, you know, at least like a 75-gallon tank for maybe 4 or 5. But absolutely stunning fish. But enough on that. We'll cover this tank in more detail in the upcoming fish room tour. Let's head back to the fish room and check some things out. Alright, YouTube, for those that are new to my channel and have never seen any of my previous videos, this is my fish room. And in this room I think I have 34 or 35 tanks in total. But you might have also noticed there's a bunch of storage shelves back here. This was a storage room when we built this house. How long ago? 10 years ago. It's like 22 by 22, and over the past few years I've been able to claim about half of it for my fish room. The other half still remains a storage room for my wife. But with that said, no plans to expand beyond what I already have. In fact, I'm thinking about downsizing to some level, reducing the amount of tanks, keeping the same amount of floor space, but reducing the number of tanks, and we could talk about that here in a little bit. I did manage to split my 471s and my L174s, so now in this tank all I have are the L471 mini snowball Plecos. And there are a total of, I don't know if you can read my crappy writing or not, but there's 14. I have 14 in there right now. Now, this is a 40-gallon breeder, and 14 might be a little bit heavy on the bio load as they mature and grow. But when I buy a species of fish, I like to buy a lot. I like to buy more than what I probably need, but I like to buy a lot. I buy extra. I grow them out, and then I have the ability to hand select a breeding colony and then sell off those that didn't make the cut. Especially when it comes to fish that are hard to source or you don't see in the hobby very often. This tank here, this is where I've moved my L174s, and I have 15 of them. And I know Dan recently got more in, and the Pleco hoarder in me is telling me to buy more, but my brain is telling me that 15 is enough. Now, all of these did not come from Dan. I did source 6 of them from a friend down in Iowa. There's a couple hanging out in that piece of cholla wood. Really, really slow growing Plecos, but I absolutely love these fish. But there are a total of 15 in there currently. Down here, I have the last of my L134s juveniles that I spawned this year. There's a couple of them over there. They're being a little bit shy. There are 15 in this tank as of right now. And they're not going to be in this tank very long because I have some new fish coming that are going to be delivering tomorrow. And we're picking up some L236 RBs along with some other fish, but I will be sure to cover that in full detail when I do the full fish room tour coming up. But they are currently in this tank. They're going to be heading to a different tank. Unfortunately, that tank has other fish in it that I need to get rid of. But anyways, over the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing a bunch of moving fish around, and I'm excited about it, to be honest. I haven't been this excited for my fish room in probably a couple of years. So anyways, nothing new going on up here. This is the L46 Zebra tank, but I will be doing a full hardscape, new hardscape on this tank. I have a bunch of caves coming in, again from Pleco Ceramics and plecocaves.com. I'm probably going to be going with only Pleco Ceramics small size cave for the zebras here. But I currently have 8 up there, and that number may change as soon as maybe tomorrow, hint hint. But anyways, I'm going to be doing a full hardscape rescape on this tank, and I'm really looking forward to doing that and working on that tank. This here 134 is my breeding colony of wildcaughts. Nothing's new there. This tank down here, this is where I have my adult Scleromystax barbatus. In the upcoming fish room tour, they will not be in here. I have decided to get rid of my adult breeding colony of Scleromystax barbatus. I like the fish. They spawn non-stop for me. I think there's like 12 adults in here, maybe 13. They're constantly spawning, very prolific. I'm not sure if I'd be willing to ship these, but if there's any interested parties, I'm open to offers. But because of their size, averaging about 3.5 inches each, it would take a rather large box or multiple smaller boxes. My standard box that I use is 12 by 12 by 8. I might be able to get like 6 of them in that box. I don't know. So probably take a couple boxes at, you know, 50, 55 bucks, 60 bucks shipping UPS next day. But absolutely stunning fish, very, very prolific group. I was thinking about perhaps trying to sell them in an upcoming club auction, or perhaps taking them down to the Quad City Fish Swap where I'm going to have a vendor table. But this tank is where that group of 134s is going to be moved in. So in the upcoming fish room tour, you should see this tank completely gutted out, cleaned up. I'm going to do a deep clean, drain it, scrub it, everything, and we'll have some hardscape in there, a bunch of caves and whatnot. But that's what the plans are for that tank. If you look over here, my 5 20-gallon grow-outs have no Corydoras. I am completely, like literally almost completely sold out of Corydoras. I have a couple of large orders that are shipping out later in September. I have an upcoming club auction and an upcoming swap, and I think between all those events, I hope to sell out of all my Corydoras. But with that said, I did list some on Get Gills, and what I have up on Get Gills right now on the TM Aquatics storefront is the last available of those particular species, period. So if there's any fish that you maybe have been on the, fence with that I have, and you've been thinking about it, grab them now, because those represent the last of what I have available. In there, this is that big mistake that I talked about a couple months ago. All these koi angelfish fry or juveniles growing out, I don't know, 300 or so. And yes, it was a huge, huge, huge mistake. I want nothing to do with these fish, unfortunately. You know, trying to take care of them, grow them out, but I'll probably end up just giving them away in like bags of 20 at the upcoming swap, or give them away in bags of like 10. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these. Maybe I'll try to sell them for a few bucks. Who knows? But that's what we have going on over here. But all of the Corydoras are gone, which is a really, really nice feeling. All right, turning around here real quick. These 7 10-gallon grow-out tanks up here have also all been emptied except this tank here. This is where I have my little itty-bitty L183s, but they're actually putting on some nice size. They came in at 1 inch. I think they're probably up to about 1.25 inches. But I'd like to do a size check on those today. The rest of these fish, or the rest of these tanks, only have a single bushy-nosed Pleco in there, except for this tank here. There are 2 juvenile L134 leopard frog Plecos, and those I'm gifting to my brother to add to his existing group. But other than that, now, moving forward, if I can source 230 breeders, I'm thinking about tearing down all these tanks here, removing these 7 10-gallon tanks and replacing them with 2 30 breeders. The problem is Aquarium doesn't make 30 breeders anymore. Master Aquariums does, but I'm not, and they have to be special ordered from the only LFS in town that carries their tanks. And I'm not sure what the price point is going to be yet. It might be, too expensive to justify. If that's the case, I'm also thinking about keeping these two 10-gallon tanks going and removing these 5 and adding another 60 breeder. I'm going to be short on larger grow out space, and that would be what those two 30 breeders would be used for, would be Pleco grow outs. But maybe a single 60 breeder in addition to having the flexibility of these two 10-gallon tanks is the way to go. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Sliding down here, one change that I might make, I'm not 100% sure on this, but my Corydoras equus, which I really do like these fish. My group I've not been able to successfully spawn, but that's my fault. I have way too many females. I need to get rid of maybe 4, 5, 6 big chunky females, and then I might have a chance. So if anybody has a group of Corydoras equus and you would be interested in some adult wild-caught, very gravid females, message me. They'd be about, I'm going to say, 25 bucks a piece, and plus shipping, and they're yours. So message me at the email in the description, and we can work something out, but I just think I have way too many females. Now, with that being said, my plans are right now to move Ancistrus wobbin musters into this tank. That's not 100% yet. Not quite sure. Because like I said, I'm thinking about getting rid of the entire group. I may end up just holding on to a smaller group and have them share the tank with the wobbin musters. But anyways, that's what we have going on and what possible plans are for this tank. Over here, no changes. This is where I have my L260s. There's 28, 29 L260 Queen Arabesque Plecos in here. No breeding yet, but they're getting close, and I'm hoping maybe by the end of this this year, maybe we'll have a couple big enough. I'm thinking they're still maybe 8-9 months away from really being sexually mature though. So fingers are crossed that maybe we get a spawn or two, but really I don't really expect it. Down here, this 60 breeder, these are all the Corys that I have, but some of these are already sold. Like 10 of those blacks are already sold, pre-sold for the upcoming Quad City swap. I have 16, 17, or 18 Duplicarius left, but 15 are already sold. They're shipping out in September. So, what's in here is not necessarily what's available, but if you see in this tank in previous videos, and go back and check that, you're going to realize how empty this tank is compared to where it was. There's like a third of the amount of Corydoras in this tank. So, anyways, for this tank here, I do plan to move the 183s into this tank. I may swap that out and move the 134s in here and then put the 183s down in this 40 long here. I'm not quite sure, but the 183s are up here and they're just, like I said, they're itty bitty right now. So I have a long time to, before they're going to be ready for their own tank. I mean, probably 6 months, 7 months, 8 months of growing out before they're going to need, a 60-gallon tank, but no, and over that time, I would definitely have to split them up. In 6 months from now, there's no way that 12 L183s could be safe in a 10-gallon tank, so don't think that that's what I implied. They're going to stay up here for that long, but eventually they'll be moved into this tank here. At least that's current plans, and again, that's in flex because I might move leopard frog plecos in here. This tank here, L306, not yet sourced, but I do have a lead on 2 different sources. One's a friend of mine. He has a nice spawn, but they're only about 3/4 of an inch right now. So it'd be another 2-3 months before they're ready to go. But I will be adding 306s to the fish room. But I did come across another source today that will have some available next month. A little more expensive, but they're going to be in that 1.5 to 1 3/4 inch size. So I might end up getting like 6 from one source, 6 from the other. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But those are my plans right now to add the L306 to this 60 breeder. And then over here, this 40-gallon tank would continue to be a grow out. Now this tank is a hot mess. I have my Wobbin musters in there. I have my L181s growing out in there. And there are, I believe, 4 L397s left over in that tank. I thought I had sold out, but when I tore the tank down last about, I don't know, 2 months ago, there were still 4 L397s in there. Looks like maybe a couple males and a couple females. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna sell or hold on to them or sell them. So I'm not quite sure. If I sell them, I might sell them as male-female pairs. I don't know. We'll see. Plenty of time to figure that out. But this will probably stay and remain a dedicated grow-out tank, that 40 breeder down there. All right, YouTube, those are some of the changes that I've been making here at TM Aquatics and some of the new species, shuffling tanks around, moving things around. I'm super excited about all the changes that I'm making here. You can probably sense that I'm starting to move away from Corydoras. Not entirely. I've actually gotten rid of 4 species of Corydoras, and I plan to get rid of my Scleromystox barbatus. So that'll be 5 species of Corydoras type fish that will be purged from the fish room. And to be honest, it actually feels good. I'm kind of going back to where my true passion is, trying to gravitate more in that direction, and that is Plecos. Not getting rid of Corydoras entirely, as I mentioned, at least not yet. We'll just have to wait and see what the future holds. But right now, short term, the next year, next 12 months, the plans are to keep about half a dozen, 7 or 8 species of Corydoras, but I am adding more species of Plecos, and I think as time goes on, I might need some of those Corydoras tanks for grow outs, and that's just kind of the sense that I'm getting. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, I still want to do size checks on the L183s, the 181s, and the Ancestris Wobbin musters, so I'm going to go over and net a couple out. I'll show you those fish, see what their sizes are. From what I can see, they're growing nicely. Again, the 183s came in at 1 inch, but I think they're about 1.25 inches now, maybe a little bit bigger than that. The Wobbin musters and the 181s have probably put on a solid 3/4 of an inch, at least from what I can see. But I do want to net a couple out, check them, check their sizes outside of the tank, and just get a better idea where things are. So let's go ahead, let's net some of those fish out, and we'll check them out. Alright, YouTube, here is one of the L183s, and I've got to say, I'm actually very happy with their progress. When they came in, they were 1 inch. They weren't a millimeter over 1 inch. They were a strong 1 inch, not anything more. And this guy here is easily measuring 1.5 inch, so they're growing quite nicely. I have the Fluval Bug Bites container behind there just for some scale, but this one's at least 1.5 inches, and all the others that I saw in the tank are also about 1.5 inches. They're getting to the size now where maybe I need to think about splitting up the group. There's 12 of them in a 10-gallon tank, so I might split them up and put 6 in a different 10-gallon and have 6 in each 2 different systems. But very happy with the progress here. I'm going to go ahead and check the 181s and the Wobbin musters and get this guy back in the water, or back in the tank, but really happy with the progress on the 183s. Alright, YouTube, we have a Ancestris Wobbin muster here. And then on the right over here, this dark black one, that is an L181. And man, these things are getting big. They are going to be ready for their own tanks here pretty soon. The Wobbin muster is at least 2.5 inches. You can see that nice honeycomb pattern on that fish. They're just absolutely stunning Ancestris. And this here, the L181, he's at least 2 3/4 inches, and yeah, they're going to be ready for their own systems here pretty soon, but they're doing nicely in this 40-gallon grow-out tank that I have them in. And that tank is on an automatic water change, so it's constantly getting a fresh source of nice clean water, which is extremely important when growing out these little plecos or these young plecos. Definitely helps them grow nice and big and healthy, but these are both looking much larger than all the fish. The L183 as well. All of them are much larger than I was expecting. So real happy with their progress, and things are coming along real nicely. So anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up this video, and I appreciate everybody's patience and those that stayed with me the entire time. Alright YouTube, well that's going to wrap up today's video. I'm real happy and satisfied with the growth of the L183s, the 181s, and the Wobbin Musters, but you can tell we certainly have some time to go yet before they're going to be sexually mature and before really they're going to be needing their own fish tanks. But anyways, hope you enjoy the mini update here. Check back either later this week or next week for a full fish room tour. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of different tanks. I'm heading to the garden center today to pick up some more hardscape material, so things are going to look quite a bit different here on the upcoming fish room tour, so do check back. Anyways, I greatly appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your day to stop by my channel and watch one of my videos. If you have any comments or questions, please post them down below. If you like the video, hit the like button, and if you think I've earned your subscription, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Anyways, thanks again for your time, and until the next one, we'll catch you later.